Hi, my name is Lafaya Mitchell, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I came to do what it is that I'm doing today. First, I have to say that counseling, psychology was not my first choice. Basically, where I grew up, we didn't do counseling. So you went to church if something was wrong with you, you didn't do counseling. So this is actually a very interesting career choice that I've made. But what I found after the experiences that I had, just coming up in a poor, we were a poor neighborhood, didn't have enough food to eat, really kind of rough, gang life. There's a lot of different little pieces in there. Having grown up that way, there was a lot of trauma that I experienced overall. So what it created in me was this extreme hypersensitivity. And so interestingly, when I started school and I planned to go into nursing, which was never going to work out for me because I don't like bodily fluids, they're disgusting. I took a few psychology classes and I started to learn that, hey, you know what, I think I have a lot to learn about myself. And so I took a real interest in it and I was really invested in, okay, well then how do we create avenues of healing? Because I know that for me personally, I am truly messed up. And so when I started the actual work, what I found was I got really good results with people because I could relate to their experiences. I wasn't just some person blank slate and can't identify what it is they're talking about. I truly could understand their experiences, especially for the hypersensitive individual. For me, I had my own sensory issues. I didn't like certain sounds. I didn't like certain sights. I didn't like people pretty much until I was around, somewhere in my mid-20s. So with all the hypersensitivities that I had, I really thought that I didn't like many people. So now I get to bring all of that experience that I had and teach other people that it's not that you don't like other people, it's that you have a difficult time connecting because of all of your hypersensitivities. First of all, working with them, living with the hypersensitive individual, they need to know how to deal with the hypersensitive individual. They need to learn how not to take everything it is that they do personally. They need to learn how to talk to them. They need to learn that there are certain noises that irritate them, try to make those noises less. Certain things like that just out of consideration. With all of that, I eventually made my way around to working with a program that specifically works with autism spectrum disorder. Now this became my home spot because this was my power spot. I knew right away the first child that I was dealing with, it was all about him having sensory issues and him being super in tune, he was super hypersensitive to what was happening with me, not only externally but especially internally. So I had to be on top of my game to work with this kid, or he was going nuts each time I tried to work with him. But after a while, I really kind of developed a bit of my own philosophy from that. I found my philosophy within that work. And I'm probably within my own life and my own experiences, right? On top of that, at around the same time, I had my daughter who, she's super hypersensitive. Every noise bothered her. She would scream bloody murder if an ambulance passed by, if a motorcycle passed by, she was screaming. And she was only about a month or so old, and people were telling me, she's spoiled, she's this, she's that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's not old enough to be spoiled. She doesn't even understand that she's in her own body. Calm down. But I figured out how to slowly work with her in a way that was considerate of how she felt. She has sensitivities, so I needed to consider that she has sensitivities in how I dealt with her if I wanted to be able to connect with her. She's now 16 years old and she's fully confident. And she's a little bit quirky like me, if you can't tell, quirky. What I taught her is we're all just kind of our group of weirdos. Some people might not like that word, don't care, because it's nice to know that it's okay to be different. But anyway, I learned a lot through my kids. I learned a lot through the IOP, and I've learned a lot just on my own, having my own experiences. And so I bring all of that into the Lafaya way, and I teach people how to create a better connection with those who are hypersensitive or in difficult situations, because everybody becomes a bit hypersensitive when there's a difficult situation. And we're also taking this now out into the community because people have been asking me to for years. So I've had parents who maybe had therapists working with their kids for 5, 10, 15 years, never getting any results. They bring their kids in to see me, all of a sudden results. They're more pliable, easier to work with and all that. And they're like, well, what magic wand did you have to make this child even want to come see you? And I'm like, well, not really a magic wand. I'm really just me. And I think it's all my weirdness that they love because I'm just really true to who I am. And I understand that I want to connect with them no matter how they are. So even if they don't want to connect with me, I can care less. Because my desire is to connect with them and help them understand that I understand why they don't have any desire to connect with me. They will come in and say, I don't want to be here. And one of the things I love to tell them is, I don't want to be here either sometimes. I mean, I get paid to do this, so I can't imagine how you feel. You're not even getting paid for this crap, right? It's through that acceptance and that understanding and that not making them less than what they truly are because they feel a certain way in a certain moment that helps to create those connections. And through the Lafaya way, I'm teaching people how to do that. Like between cops and community. I actually attended this cops and clergy, like it was this community relations training. And it gave me about, I think it was like 8 weeks of education on what the experiences are like for the officers out there. And what I learned through this experience is especially coming from where I came from, it's hard when you're Black and you're dealing with cops. I don't know how else to say this to people. I'm not into, getting back at people or any of that, but I have had the experience of being a young Black female that would hang out with other Black people and would get pulled over for no reason at all consistently and watch my friends get sprawled out on the ground when we did nothing. But what I learned through the program is that cops are experiencing their own trauma. So even the good ones, they're being mistreated every day. They're being called names just for being a cop. And so they're experiencing their own trauma, which creates their own hypersensitivity, which community needs to understand that part a little bit better so they know how to deal with some of our officers out there. But then on the reverse side, some of the officers out there need to understand some of those in the community's experience, especially when you're dealing with intergenerational trauma. If you're understanding that it comes from their experiences and that no person out there wants to be disliked. We all want to be able to connect and be accepted by other people, and that's just like our innate human desire to do that. If everybody's understanding that all others want to be able to connect, and if they're not being successful with that, if they're behaving in ways where that's not happening, they're really hurting themselves, then all of a sudden you open up a brand new avenue of how you can work with that person, because then you're actually working with the true them. You're actually able to draw out who they really are instead of that protective barrier that they have in front of them. That's really how I got started in this work. This is truly something that is in my heart to do, because I was so heartbroken when I was younger. Now, I was heartbroken, but I thought that I wanted to kill everybody. Like, I thought that I hated everybody and I'd rather step on somebody than talk to them. People would say, oh, I never guessed that now. And it's because I'm so happy to have figured out that I truly do want to be able to connect with people. And now I'm actually more honest with myself about it. I know that I want to have close relationships with those that I love, so I treat them well. Most of us don't even do that. And the reason I call it building, I say that we're building bridges, is because the ability, the capacity is there. There's just a space between you and the actual doing of that thing. And so we build the bridge so that you can get there and be more true to your authentic self. Everything it is that I do, every training that I do, whether it be employee relations, whether it be, cop community relations with families, whomever, you will always get me teaching others how to draw out that authentic person from the person they're dealing with by being true to their authentic self. That's a lot about me, and there's so much more, but you don't want to hear all that. So just enjoy what I'm going to put out. Enjoy my educational videos. They're free. Call me and let me know if you want me to individualize something for you. I'm excited to work with you, and I'll see you soon. Stay you and stay true.